What's up, guys? This is Malachi coming at you. Welcome back to another episode of Off the Reservation. And here we are. I'm Mal.
I'm El.
And I'm John.
Oh, John.
We got one of the Beatles to come in.
Yeah, I'm the son of Picasso. How y'all doing?
He's like the native beetle.
Uber Beetle.
Do you guys ever feel like Ringo doesn't get as much love as he really should?
Absolutely. I was just thinking about that, especially after watching the documentary.
Like, he's near genius.
I was like,
I haven't finished it.
you haven't fit.
Oh,
no.
man.
We're going to shame you for that.
I swear to God, he has 4 arms. Like, how does he play all that?
Yeah. Well, even just like, all right, so throughout the whole thing, right, Ringo is like, just kept his cool. You know what I mean? He was, and I think I saw someone made this comment, but Ringo was like, he was the timekeeper during the songs, right, as the drummer. But he was also like the steady constant in all of the Beatles too. Yeah. It was like he was like solid as a rock, there every day on time. He was just there to like, I'm here to support you guys.
Like, it left me with a new respect for him.
Yeah, man.
Ringo Starr, if you're listening, say what's up.
Peace and love, Ringo.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember they did a spoof on him in Family Guy, where what was it? He comes in and he tells one of them like, "Oh, hey, I wrote a song about an octopus in a garden, an octopus on the garden." And they're like, "Oh, that's so nice. Let's go ahead and put it up on the refrigerator." He's like, "Really? We're gonna put it up on the refrigerator?" Yeah, right here. You know, like messing with
Man, Ringo Starr was it. He was on when I was growing up. He was on a Shiny
cool.
Time station. He was the
No
conductor.
way.
Yeah.
What
I don't know
was
if he was
that
Mr. Conductor. I don't know. It was way before you guys were watching PBS.
PBS.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
Speaking of PBS, what's your favorite movie?
PBS. Well, I was gonna address the fact that like, okay, so we're recording actually before the holidays, so
Yeah, this is mid-December or so.
yeah, we're what?
So hope
December
everybody had
12th?
a happy and productive and fun and great time with you, whatever you're doing for your holidays. You
Oh,
know,
Merry Festivus.
definitely. Merry Festivus, Merry Christmas,
Yeah.
Happy Hanukkah.
it's about time to
Kwanzaa.
start taking the old aluminum pole down now. Huh?
Yeah,
Back into storage. Yeah. Hope you didn't hurt yourself.
the feats of strength.
Pizza Strike. That's it. Pizza Strike.
I got a lot of problems with you people, and you're gonna hear about them.
All the grievances have
Yeah.
been aired. Sorry, anyone that doesn't know, that's Seinfeld, and you should stop immediately and go watch Seinfeld because
Oh, I love this sign.
yeah. If you have
It was funny. I watched. So we've just finished because went back on Netflix, and we just finished watching like most of it. And I was like, man, these people they're horrible. Like they really are. And the whole like last episode, the finale, the one where it's like everybody they've ever crossed comes back and testifies against them. It like I really like understood it a little more, and I was like, God, these people are awful. Like Jerry's terrible, George, Elaine, Kramer's kind of on the border. I don't know. He's kind of just like
he's
there.
all right.
But yeah, I was just like, wow, this because
He's
everybody
like the only one that
rags on the
complete
final.
ignorance.
Yeah. Everybody rags on the finale of Seinfeld. They're like,
Yeah.
oh man, this kind of sucked, you know?
But I think it's genius. I think it summed the whole show up.
And it helps you remember that these people are kind of jerks.
Well,
know what
you
I
kind of
mean?
forget
Like,
that, yes, it is a comedy, but then it takes you out of that comedic factor.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa, you're faced with the reality of these people had real life repercussions. Come
Oh,
to
yeah.
an end.
Well,
and that's why I stopped making jokes so much, man, because I don't want to go to jail. Saw that finale of Seinfeld.
Pretty soon you're making jokes, and then you're
filming a
you're
guy getting
cracking
robbed,
banks.
and yeah,
well, I ended up seeing what was it? He the guy that played George, he ended up doing an interview with somebody, and he was saying that like at the height of Seinfeld, he had talked to his son and was like, "Have you ever seen like what I do?" And his son was like, "No," and he's like, "All right, well, why don't you go ahead and watch it?" So his son apparently went and watched it, and then after a while he came back and he was like, "So what did you think of like the show?" And he goes, "Man, you're a real jerk on the show." And I mean, I've only seen that like in like posted up as a thing, but I mean, honestly, like going back, I'm like, yeah, George is kind of a jerk the entire time, but I mean, it's hilarious. You just want to see like how much he fails.
That's like
even
how
more.
genius. That's the genius of the
That is
show.
the
You know what I mean?
genius.
These people are horrible,
See,
but you're like, oh
but that's
man.
the writing. That's Larry David. Larry
Yeah.
David is a genius.
Yeah.
writer. Like, have you watched any of other Larry David stuff?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
man. Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah. Oh my
It's so
goodness.
great, man. That's what I was thinking about the other day. Because never mind. I don't want to talk.
I
about
love when he plays Bernie Sanders. He's
Oh,
just like
yeah.
hilarious. Oh man.
I mean, and I guess like along that same lines, like, since like I feel like we can all agree that Seinfeld was like one of our favorite shows growing up and still today. Like, what other favorite movies or shows that you guys have? Like, I don't know, that may have like affected your identity or whatever. I guess.
affected your identity.
Or I mean, reached out to you and maybe like had an inspiration on like like
You know
your
what's kind of
nativeness.
crazy? This is necessarily isn't about what you said per se, but as far as identity, I remember when you were growing up, you were like, I don't know, right before you'd maybe turn 13, and it was right around when Smoke Signals had come out,
Oh my
and
gosh,
you
Smoke
you literally look like the Thomas Builds a Fire from Smoke Signals, and like you just. You didn't necessarily get teased, but like everybody would just come up to you and be all, "Say, Victor, where's my dad? Victor, where's my dad?"
Hey, Victor. And okay, so during that time, I also had the accent too, the heavy like, I don't know, it'd be like the res kind of accent. I don't know. I mean, our dad always referred to it as like talking like a John, and I don't know what reference that has, what meaning that has in the greater scheme of like anything else, but he always referred to it as like talking like a John, like on the res. And so I mean, like I always said it and I'd be like, "Hey Victor, where's your dad?" Like, "Thomas, your parents burned up."
And so then everybody would be like expecting you to like say it, like do your little impression, and like you had glasses, you had braids, you like a spitting image of him.
Well, and it was even worse, like it was almost worse because like we'd go to like functions and stuff and I'd dress up in like a suit and I always wore a vest.
You were always wearing suits.
Like
and
you
vests,
always. It didn't
my
help.
gosh. Yeah, I don't know, Smoke Signals coming out in 1998. That was awesome. I mean, what was it? It kind of just like, I don't know, it felt like it spoke to us. I mean, like, yeah, we didn't grow up on the reservation.
No, but we all grew up poor.
So yeah, I mean, like we've all dealt with like what was it, the ladies in the car driving backwards, like
Oh,
they
yeah.
look like the ladies that were at the IHS, Indian Health Services, or the Indian hospital.
They
They're
should
always
make a
funny.
movie about that. They should make a mini series called IHS, and it's just,
Oh,
just
man.
Indian ladies at the hospital.
I mean, like they touched on it in that Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah, did you see that episode?
I
Yeah.
did see it.
It was pretty funny.
That
I
was
was like,
funny.
okay, I'd get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, shoot, I mean, even going over there now to IHS, like, to go, what is it? Take my son for his appointments, because he's got like all those appointments. I mean, he's only 15 months, like a year and three months, something like that. And I mean, we go over there, and we're still trying to get his CIB, him still registered with the Navajo Nation, and like, that's been an adventure.
Oh my gosh, trying to get anything done with the tribal offices is a nightmare.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to Smoke Signals.
Smoke Signals.
There's a heavy sigh there.
Yeah. Well, it's a long. That's hard because I have 3 kids and I'm trying to get them registered with the Kiowa tribe, and that's like,
What they're like 6 years old, 7 years
yeah,
old.
like it's just.
I know. I mean, they're giving me a hard time because my name on my CIB doesn't match my birth certificate, and therefore it also doesn't. Neither of those match the name that I wrote on my son's birth certificate, which is funny because I feel like I have like 3 different names,
Yeah,
And
what names? What names are you using? How many aliases do you
Go
have?
by
Man?
Mike, go by Joe.
I mean, everyone calls me something different, and you know, all of them kind of stick. So like, I don't know. I mean, was it the same for you guys? Like, you guys didn't have a whole bunch of nicknames. I mean, in me, I had a bunch of nicknames.
Yeah, I
No.
didn't really have a nickname.
Me neither.
Everybody always called me Benji. Like they just
Benji.
shortened my name and added an IE at the end.
What year did that movie come out?
Oh, I know that was the worst time too.
You're like, stop calling me that.
Yeah.
Was that the
I
one
mean,
about the
looking back
dog?
at it, I could have had like a worse nickname, but like it was like after the dog, and anytime anybody would say it, they'd say Benji, Benji the dog. And it'd be like, oh my gosh.
You all shut up. It's not the first time I heard that, man.
Oh man.
Yeah, no, I mean, I didn't have any nicknames growing up, but all right, so I don't remember seeing a lot of like natives in film growing up. You know what I mean? Smoke Signals was probably the first movie I ever saw. I mean, there was like, Dances with Wolves, but it's
Yeah.
like they were natives and you didn't hear them talk, they were,
I
The
mean,
main
Grant
character
Green.
was a white guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's be real.
Well, I remember like specifically like Graham Greene being in it, and he was like the spiritual, the holy man, And I remember, well, at one of the art gatherings that we had, we actually met him, like a long time ago, and
Oh,
that's
yeah.
kind of funny because like as like a Native American and being like in the Native American arts or realm, like you have different levels of famous. So there's like the famous like Matthew McConaughey. We referenced him in the beginning, in the first episode. Like everyone knows him. You could go anywhere in the world and be like, he just like walk out in the wild and be like, all right, and people would be like, oh man, that's Matthew McConaughey. But like you have like Graham Greene and Adam Beach and Irene Bernard and those ones, and they're native famous. Like natives will be like, oh my gosh, I know him. Like you see like was it James and Ernie, those guys, and you'll be like, oh man, I know that guy, I recognize that guy. But like walking around anywhere else, the likelihood that they'll get recognized by any non-native is kind of
It's funny because I always felt like that was that's Indian Market.
yeah.
is when all of the like native celebrities come out,
Yeah.
and I'm walking around and I'm that person. I'm like, oh, do you know who that is? And my wife is like, no. I'm like, don't you remember that movie? And I was like, he played the guy that did this and this and this. And she was like,
Oh,
I was like, you don't
Quit
know.
pointing.
And she's like, no, I don't. I'm like, what is wrong with you?
Well, that's like Gary Farmer. Okay.
Oh,
I
Gary
have
Farmer.
a funny story about Gary Farmer. So Gary Farmer plays the dad in Smoke Signals. He's hilarious.
He's also in Reservoir Dogs.
He is. He's the uncle in
Or I'm
Reservoir
not-
Dogs.
Reservation Dogs.
Reservation
Reservation
Dogs.
Dogs.
And so he had done a campaign along the same lines as like alcohol awareness
Yeah, I remember
kind of a
that.
thing.
Yeah. And
So-
DWI.
And
He was, yeah,
DWI.
yeah.
Well, at our church in the upstairs bathroom,
Someone put the picture.
someone put his picture
a
in there,
poster in there.
and it said, don't alcohol, like don't do alcohol, something like the spirits or ancestors didn't survive this long for you to be a
Partake in the
drunkard or
spirits.
something like that. And I was like, that stuck with me. The picture of like trying to
It's
go to
very-
the bathroom and Gary Farmer sitting there across from you staring at you. It kind of makes you uncomfortable, but at the same time, after a while, you're kind of like, I got it, Gary. I'm not
Gary-
gonna do it.
You want to personally thank Gary Farmer for his
But that's not the first time I met him.
for his effect in your life.
He-
I wouldn't be here today without Gary Farmer in the bathroom.
Gary Farmer in my bathroom saved my life. Oh no.
All right. Well,
Mr. Gary Farmer, if you're listening to this, I'm sorry. I hope I didn't cause any problems.
Oh man.
But really though, like Smoke Signals was like the first movie that like I remember seeing where there was natives and it depicted life on the reservation.
It was crazy because it was like one of those things where I saw bootlegged. It was like a copy of a copy of a copy.
That's true.
And like, because it didn't come out on film. Like, at least
Talking
in our
VHS,
theater.
kids.
It was like dubbed 4 times, and like you could see like the back of somebody's head like move across the front of the screen.
Literal bootlegging out of the theater, huh? But and then even just in that movie, it tackles a lot, which I don't know. I didn't really appreciate it as a young kid. You know what I mean? I didn't really understand it, but like, man, some of the topics they have in that movie are very, just dealing with your familial history. You know what I mean? And forgiving your father, for the way things were when you were a kid. You know what I mean? And because when it's the story itself is pretty beautiful, actually. I will say that. And but it was pretty inspirational for me as a kid, because I was like, man, this is it's funny, right? It's relevant and it's real. You know what I mean? Like it had everything. So
well, the actual movie was based off of a book written by this Native American writer named Sherman Alexie, and I believe the original title of the book was The Lone Ranger and Tonto's Fist Fight Through Heaven.
That's right.
And if you're interested, definitely check out anything that Sherman Alexie has written, because it gives you a non-romanticized vision of what it's like to grow up as a Native American. I believe his were like mostly in the Lakotas, those kind of tribes, but it gives you a raw, gritty view of like what it's like to grow up as a Native in society, and how natives, like we've discussed on our previous, is we all just struggle trying to determine, trying to decide what paths we want to go and follow in life. And I mean, that's really what Smoke Signals is about. Like, who do you want to be when all of this is over? And I mean, it's a beautiful story. Definitely look it up. If you already have it. I mean, if you're Native, more than likely, like I'd say like 90% of you have already seen it.
How about you, Picasso? Son of Picasso.
I have to look at it, and I think probably one of my favorite movies was probably Scarface. It was just one of those movies where first off, it's such a long movie. It's like one of those things where you would watch a little bit and then go do something, then watch and come back and do something. And at the same time, through most of my childhood, I was a painter, So it was like one of those long movies that I could just put in and paint and listen to in the background, And so you listen to the dialogue and things like that. And, I always had fun watching shows like that, because, you can separate reality versus, fiction.
Yeah.
And so it made me, I guess, enjoy making an honest buck. Because you look at the movie and it's a crazy story. You're like, wow, this person really had all this ambition and wanted to build an empire, but at the same time, the means of making it was so under the table and so bad. So it's like, if you have something else that you're trying to make, it that's legal, you know what I mean? It was just a cool movie to watch, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, I guess like trying to do like what you're saying is like trying to succeed at all means possible, like doing it and doing it right and doing it well.
Yeah, especially as a little kid, because I was a little kid. For those of you who don't know, I started painting at the age of 8.
Oh, I thought you were saying that you watched Scarface as a little kid.
I did watch Scarface as a little kid. Shout out to my uncle who let me watch Scarface. Oh, no. Yeah. So anyway, watching it, you saw that that Tony's building this empire, and you're like, wow, this is something that's possible, And so as a little kid, painting, thinking, wow, one day I'm going to be able to build an empire like this. It necessarily wasn't like the best story to be watching as a little kid, but at the same time, you're like, wow, you see so much ambition from somebody who wasn't white. Do you know what I mean? Like, you saw this person who looked like my friend's dad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, especially growing up in Albuquerque, like most of the population is Hispanic or some sort of Mexican descent, and so they speak Spanish a lot in their household. So I remember, like, most of the friends I identified with were Hispanic, and so seeing Scarface wasn't that far of a reach for me, So
yeah. Well, I mean, like, yeah, like you said, it's a pretty crazy, it's a pretty crazy story, but it is kind of neat, right? That, and it's almost like what we were talking about earlier, where like with Seinfeld, right? It's like he's like the anti-hero. You know what I mean? Like, he's not a good guy, you know.
You know what though?
But
I looked at it, and it was like, first he comes off the boat, and like literally, like they're in like a refugee camp.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, that's the bare bones of society. Like, if you're in a refugee camp, it's because nothing went right. It's not because, oh, this is nice, know. And so you see him start off from there and work his way up into a big old mansion. You're like, wow.
Yeah.
And especially as a little kid, you see something like that, you're like, wow, I'm gonna own a tiger one day.
You and Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
You and Mike Tyson grew up to.
How about you, Mel?
I don't know. I mean, I guess trying to pick a favorite anything is difficult. Just because, like, there's so many good things that I've, like, you can see over the years. I mean, you bringing up Scarface kind of reminds me of Goodfellas.
Ooh, that's another good movie.
Yeah, Goodfellas. I mean, you've seen Goodfellas, right?
Yes. Yes.
Enough to, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
not a while, but
I mean, honestly, I think my favorite part was always when what's his name, Joe Pesci starts messing with what's his name, when he tells them, like, am I funny, am I a clown?
oh yeah, the classic. Yeah.
It's like, am I a clown to you? Do I make you laugh? And he's like, no, you're just a funny guy, you're just funny. And just that, like, idea of, like, that guy is so intimidating, so scary, but he's like the shortest one in the room.
I always loved mobster movies for that idea of the family. Like, being native, growing up, you're surrounded by your family, and you're surrounded by all your cousins that all have the same last name as you. And like, you almost felt like a gang. You almost felt like
there was so much of us. There was so many of us.
And like, you were always taught, like, if you can't trust anybody, if you can trust anybody, you can trust your family. And like, then watching mobster movies like that, you see that, and you're like, I feel like the Corleones, you know what I mean? Walking around.
We're the Corleones of Albuquerque.
I mean, the fact is like, okay, so along that same lines, like, you went to Oklahoma, you went to university out there, and you met a lot of family that you hadn't met before, because we all share the same last name. Like, so me specifically, my last name is Soodle, and so therefore anyone with the last name Soodle, I'm related to, because it's a Native American name, and it's specific to only Kiowas. So therefore, I'm related to all the Soodles. Thus, the interesting part is, like, there were 3 actual brothers who they split them up by their names. So there was Goombay, Soodle, and I can't remember the third one. But see, that's just a testament of how big our family is that, like, I can't remember our third family name that we're related to, but we're related to those 3 groups. So there, anyone with the Goombay, with the it starts with the A or something, but any Soodle, any Goombay, their family. And I mean, we meet other natives who are like, oh, are you related to this Soodle or that Soodle or that one? And I'm like, yeah, they're family. Like they're all
Part of the family.
they're all part of the family.
I'll make you offer you can't refuse.
No, yeah, it's weird. Well, so growing up, right? I mean, you had friends at school that didn't have the amount of cousins that you did, So the whole family aspect was so different for us, I feel like, because it was like every weekend we were getting together some way or another. You know what I mean? Whether it was like grandma's house or a park for a cookout,
or how many cousins are where it was somebody's birthday.
Yeah, it was somebody's birthday, and we were taking over Dion's and back room of Dion's, and pizza was everywhere. But it was like that was our childhood, you know what I mean? Yeah. And even as we got a little bit older and the families kind of, stopped hanging out as much, I noticed still though, like, there was still a core group, and there was still like, I don't know, 20 of us at least, that like, the cousins, I mean,
and
so
just
it was
doing
weird.
this podcast, my family's here, your family's here, your family's here. It's a full house.
Yeah. But like, and I think that just kind of goes back to how we are as our heritage, it's just, we were a communal people, you know what I mean?
Well, what I think is funny is the idea of like grandma's house. I feel like that's a holdover from like being on the reservation. Like everyone goes to grandma's house. Like I remember our dad telling us like he's got 12 brothers and sisters, and how like when his parents were like, okay, we've had enough of all 12 of you, we're gonna go take you to grandma's. And then he'd go to grandma's, and there would be like 6 other cousins and all, and they'd all hang out and herd sheep and ride horses and do chores on grandma's house and grandma's land and everything like that. And I mean, it was the same way I feel like when we grew up, like
we all went to grandma's house and ring-shingled her roof.
Yeah. Clean things, move things. You guys helped out with grandpa's lawn mowing business.
Oh, that was fun. Had a fun ton of summers doing their lawn and landscaping business.
Well, going home and smelling like grass.
Have your shoes dyed green.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, don't wear your white shoes. your New Balances are all.
That was really cool. Like I think back to that part of my childhood, and I'm like, man, that's neat that a group of Indians could get together and make a viable business that actually, like, I mean, I walked away every day with like real money in my pocket, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And it wasn't like change, you know what I mean? And like it was just something that our family built, and like you look at it, like if we really, really, really wanted to get into the lawn and landscaping business, like we could have taken over. And I feel like that's always been our family though, where if we want to do something, it's like
we could figure it out.
Almost anything we touch is gold. You know what I mean? Because there's no other way to do it but the right way in our family's view. So we either do it or we don't do it. I also noticed that about our family.
Yeah. and it's just like,
which is kind of funny to say.
And it's funny because we see those things like reflected in like mobster kind of movies, Like I remember your wife was like, it was like you guys were like the sharks in the jets, and we'd walk around at church and be snapping our fingers like.
Yeah, we were menacing, man. We
were scary.
Yeah, to people who didn't know,
See, I always felt bad because like I wasn't exactly the best student in school. And so I told all my cousins, I'm like, when you guys are old enough to go to school, don't tell any of the teachers that we're related. Because like I wasn't a good student. And so when they come across you and they see your name, they say, oh, were you the son of Picasso's cousin? Just tell them, oh, no, I'm not.
Did you
I have no relation. No, I actually didn't.
You didn't take photos? Oh my gosh.
Telling stories.
So I remember because I ended up going to school. What was it? We're 7 years apart. So it just so happened that the photo teacher was still teaching at the school we went to, and I remember walking in, and she was like, "Oh, you're Malachi Soodle. Was the son of Picasso your brother, and this other guy your brother?" and like she's referring to like my brother and our other older cousin, and I was like, yeah. The other one's my cousin, the son of Picasso's my brother, and she goes, am I gonna have to worry about you throwing a chair? Am I gonna have to worry about you throwing a chair across the room? And I was like, what happened? She goes, ask your brother. And I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, I mean, and even now, like I talked to our niece, and our niece was like, I was like, she goes to the same school now. And she had gone to the same school. She graduated 2 years ago. And I was like, did you ever like talk to any of your teachers who like knew any of us? And she was like, well, one of your auntie, my aunties, you know, she remembered that, but not really. And I was like, man, she lucked out.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of dwindled out between the time she started school. You know what I mean? There's not
those
a
old teachers.
not a whole
died
lot
off.
of us, you know.
Well, when I was going there, they were all old. There was no young teachers. They
We
all
were
at
very
the end of their
memorable.
career.
Hey, it's a peculiar. Yeah, I can't say it. Peculiar last name. You know what I mean? It's not from here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like,
Well, I remember that was
it's not Hispanic. You know what I mean? It doesn't come across as Hispanic. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It's like, wow, this is weird.
Well, I remember specifically the fact that like if you did anything wrong at school, like got yourself in trouble for anything or dressed a certain way or whatever, it somehow inevitably got back to your parents because there were so many of us. Like
someone told someone.
so like I remember I wore like
They
those
named the names.
like I
Be
remember I
snitching.
wore like what was it, those big trip pants, the ones that were like, you know, like huge, ginormous
Parachute pants?
Like,
yeah,
like Jenkos.
Jinkos, yeah.
but the goth version, I tried to be goth and it went all right, but
It was pretty successful.
you know,
My goth career, I averaged 400 RBI.
I mean, if you look at it, like I did the
We had a few
Sharpie on my
successful
nails, you know, that kind of a thing.
We're real proud of what we did this season.
Yeah,
We're looking forward to next year. We're gonna take it.
yeah.
Right now, this goth season, we're just in a rebuild.
I'm working. I mean, at the moment, I'm wearing my black and purple.
Now I
stripe.
know.
Have you ever
Now I
noticed
know
that
to
a
get
lot of
you.
natives do like to be goth?
Yeah,
And I also noticed that we all like reggae too. Do you guys ever notice
reggae,
that?
Yeah.
Slipknot, Corn.
Yeah.
It's because
Yeah.
we're all angry,
It's just
and it speaks to us on a deep level.
internally. Yeah. It's just gotta get
But
your
then we're
rage out.
spiritual with the reggae, so we gotta.
Yeah, we gotta calm down sometime. Mostly when we're hungry. Wow, that sounds bad. I didn't mean for that to sound bad. I was just saying,
All right, yo.
natives like to eat.
What do you think? Let's take a quick break
Yeah,
real
yeah.
quick and we'll be back. And we'll be right back.
Thanks for listening.
What's up, guys? We're back after our short break. Thank you for listening to those sounds that we just played. Yeah. So, where did we leave off? We left off, I believe, like on some of the movies that we enjoyed the most growing up, and you know, still today.
All right. Well, I'll be honest. For me, there wasn't a whole lot of native movies. You know, that when I was growing up, that I was like really like, wow. You know, we talked about Smoke Signals. That was a big one for me.
Yeah.
But like honestly, like comedies were like my thing. I loved comedies, and I mean, all right. So I grew up like what the movies I started watching, stuff that was coming out while I was a teenager, was all, you know, like early 2000s, you know. And so that's where a lot. I mean, you know, you think back to movies that your parents watched when you were like younger, right? Like Coming to America, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you know, obviously it got a place for, you know, where it's got its place in movie history, but like I grew up in the time with like Napoleon Dynamite, you know what I mean?
Gosh,
like that was
yeah.
like there was like craze of like Napoleon Dynamite, and like everybody was on that wave, man. And I enjoyed it.
I can't count how many times we just quoted Napoleon Dynamite over and over, just like constantly screaming out, "Tina, you fat lard, eat your dinner."
What's the reason why I eat so much steak today? No.
My favorite was when he had the shirt that said PHS on it, and like we all went to Public Indian Health Services, and we all saw that, and we all laughed to ourselves. PHS, what?
And it was just like such a weird. But so all right, so thinking about Napoleon Dynamite though, as I got older, I thought like how. Because it started out as a short film, the guy who made it,
Yeah.
like him and some people that he was working with or was at school with, like they made a short film of Napoleon Dynamite, and then it got it got picked up and it got turned into a full length movie, and they expanded on it, and I thought that was like the coolest thing, because at some point we all we got our hands on a camera and we started like trying to make movies, just random stuff. And it was always your parents always had the camera, man.
Yeah.
Like you guys had like the video cameras.
Oh yeah, because they needed it for all the art business, for taking pictures and things like that. So
Well, and at the same time, we were all in sports, so therefore, like doing wrestling, matches and things like that, we always recorded it. But I mean, like at the same time, like as Napoleon Dynamite came out, I feel like we got a lot of our inspiration from Jackass. Like,
oh my gosh, I love Jackass. And like he's like, "Hi, I'm Bam Margera, and I'm gonna beat my dad's ass all day long," and then he just goes in.
And that was the thing, right? Yeah, we even did that, right? We made a little like we tried like pseudo stunts,
like little minuets.
Yeah, like I wasn't like I'm not gonna like steal something, or I'm not gonna do something so stupid that I could like
okay,
light yourself on fire.
Yeah,
I mean, I specifically remember like, okay, so as like natives, we always did the Indian taco sale to raise money for, I don't know, like going to camp, church camp, or going
to the baseball game
or whatever. And it would just seem like it was just an excuse for us all to get together, make Indian tacos, and then sell as many as we could, and then mess around for the next 3 hours. Like what was it? I remember we got the shopping cart and we just tried to drive them as fast as we could over speed bumps and knock them over, and be like recording it on phones and on.
Well, I remember at your house one time, we I think we had like a couple skateboards, and we put the trash can, your dumpster that you have outside. We like flipped it over, put the front end of the dumpster on the skateboard, and the back end had the wheels, and we have someone sit inside it and you push them from the top of the hill, and they were like, it was stuff like that, you know what I mean? And then like building ramps out of like old tables, you know what I mean? Propping them up, and then being like, all right, I'm gonna get on the bike. See if I can
do you remember that broken wheelchair at the church? It was a broken wheelchair that nobody had the heart to throw away.
Paint that
and
gold? We painted it gold.
I think so.
Oh man.
But but still, like the cool thing about that, right, was that we had that a little bit of freedom to like express some creativity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that like helped shape me like going forward, because I found a lot of joy in that, creating stuff. You know what I mean? And that's our family though. Like our family is we're creators. You know what I mean? Like we're creative, and that was the cool thing, was we kind of found our own like niche when we were kids. You know what I mean? Like an outlet for that.
Well,
like
along that same lines, like I feel like that's a big part of being native. Like if you look at it, like a lot of natives are always creating something. Like you give a kid, like a bored kid, something like nothing to do, and like 2 hours later he'll figure out like, oh, I can make TikTok videos, I can record myself running here, running there, start making fake scary movies out anywhere, doing this, doing that. I mean, that's just kind of the way it is. Like, natives, we always want to create something to entertain ourselves.
Man, I almost feel like kids today are spoiled by the fact that they have a camera in their pocket.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh
Like,
my gosh.
like it's so accessible for them. When we were kids, like, we didn't have cameras. You know what I mean? You had, like, the first cell phone you had was like 1 point some megabyte or like pixel, like
Megapixels.
yeah, megapixel camera.
Your TV remote has more memory.
Yeah, you take
Those are
you take a picture and you have to hold the pose for just a second, or else it all comes out all blurry. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
in any light, But that was
Yeah.
like the thing, is like there was no video camera accessibility, and kids today have cell phones that have like HD, 4K. Like, it's crazy, And I'm like, man, if we had a camera like that when we were kids,
Like, we would have been the next Martin Scorsese.
yeah,
already.
I know, right? We would have been making.
We would have made all kinds of crazy movies.
But like, yeah, like, just I mean, especially that time too, because I feel like when you're young, you have this motivation to like I want to learn to do this, and it was like something you guys had mentioned before, but it's like, years of working and working a 9 to 5 just really just rips pieces of your soul out,
Yeah.
And it's like you somewhere along the way, people start to lose that like desire for creativity to create stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's very few people that can break through it. And if you were doing it the whole time, like your family, you guys have always been very big and just like, hey, like, you want to do something, go do it, like, go create.
I think that's like that's been the wonderful thing about like our family, is like having the openness to be able to go, like, our parents weren't the kind of people who were like, okay, you're 18, go get a job, because essentially we've been working since we were about 10. And I mean, for me on my own, like, mine was doing clothing. Like, I was making clothing, chokers, that kind of a thing, Native American regalia from an early age. And you've been painting since like you were 10. And so the whole idea of like our parents being like, you need to get a job, it was more of like, you need to go be a kid, you need to go play and express yourself.
You're working too hard. Take some vacation.
Well, I think that's one thing that we were really blessed at, is our parents really wanted the idea of us to have economic freedom, something that they didn't have. Being able to not have to rely on other people to pay for you to go see a movie or something like that, and being like, oh, I'll pay for everybody to go see a movie. You know? And I think I always enjoyed that aspect of being young and owning a business,
Yeah, well, having
I mean, it gives you a sense of pride too.
Oh,
You're like, wow, like, hey, I'm doing something,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Well, that's like, I mean, like you just you said earlier, like how you would help Grandpa with his lawn mowing business. I mean, he paid you, and like you got some money out of it. I mean, maybe not an equal share, but I mean, he gave you a little bit of something.
When you made that comment about them saying like, they were giving us, they were paying us, and it was like, this is real money. I was like, I remember I was working for like $5 an hour. It was like out of working from like 7 to 12.
But
they
how
gave me
old
like
were
$20
you at that time?
I was in middle school.
See, I was already out of college. You know what
really?
I mean?
Yeah.
When they started that,
Yeah.
and so
I got taken advantage. Man, they grifted me.
Well, that's the other thing, is like with the amount of all of us, like, I mean,
and the supply of labor. No.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, like, how many cousins do we actually have? Like, there's like, what, 15, 16 of us just in the family, like the immediate family alone, let alone like all of the half cousins and everyone else, like all over the place. I honestly don't know how half cousins and second cousins work. They're all brothers and sisters.
We just have an infinite family. Like
Yeah.
it's wild.
Yeah, I mean, I always hated doing family trees at school.
Oh, I
that
know,
was
because like
awful.
all the Anglo kids would come in and it would be just like this little neat family tree, and like
you were like, oh,
I remember
God.
going there with like grandma and being like, "Grandma, tell me about the family tree, this and that," and she'd be like, "Well, there's this, that," and like I had 5 cousins and 5 brothers and 5 sisters, and
Yeah.
it's just like, oh my goodness, this
You're like,
thing,
okay, I'm gonna have to keep this just my parents. To,
I don't have enough paper for this
yeah,
project.
yeah, this is too big.
Well, along that same lines, like us having a big family, I know like a big part of being native is not being able to find someone to date
That you're not related to.
that you're not related to. And like for us, because our family is so big, like on the Kiowa side, because there's so many of them, like it's hard to find somebody in Oklahoma that we aren't related to. On the other hand, the Navajo side, being that you can be like parentally related, like family related, you can also be clan related. And so I remember like at one point, like I was dating this girl and I brought her to Grandma Nelson, and I was like, "Hey, this is my girlfriend, Grandma." And she was like, "What's her clans?" And I was like, yeah, what are your clans?" And she like told her, and she goes, "I don't think this is gonna work, grandson, because her clan, this clan, and this clan are sister clans, and we're related by this clan and this clan." And I was like, "How are we not related to everyone now? Like,
5 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
I'm gonna have to go to across the ocean to find somebody to marry because I'm related to everyone else, you know?"
That's the struggle there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's why we're an endangered species.
To all you young people out there, you just be careful.
Be careful.
You don't know.
You never know. We're all related. Yeah, ask your grandma first. That's really what it comes down to. Is you just got to get grandma in on your dating life. Keep her informed. It's rough out there. Yeah. I'm married, so
This is too much dead air here.
yeah. Whoops.
All right, bringing it back. All right.
What were we talking about?
Grandmas and dating.
Grandmas and dating.
How did we
Don't date your grandmas.
Let's see. Family trees, Kevin Bacon.
Movies. Well,
Yeah.
we started off with movies. I
Yeah.
mean, the idea of like being able to make our own goofy movies, not the goofy movie. We weren't in on that goofy movie.
I did like the Goofy movie though.
The goofy movie was good.
No,
That's
but
all
like
about the perfect cast, man.
What was that one movie with Jack Black and Mos Def? I remember watching that.
oh yeah, Be
And-
Kind, Rewind.
Yeah, and I remember thinking like, I want to remake all these different movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was fun.
And then I remember seeing Mos Def and like thinking like, man, that guy looks like that one rapper. And like all of a sudden I was like watching the intro and it's all Mos Def, and I was like, that is Mos Def.
That is that one rapper. Yeah, man. Yeah, that was a good one. Well, and then there was that whole period of just like comedy movies that it was like the Apatow era
Yeah.
of his early like movies. It was like Knocked Up and
Pineapple Express.
Pineapple
I still
Express.
watch Pineapple Express.
Yeah.
Pineapple Express. I feel like that shaped a lot of our I don't know, teens. I mean, for me, like the idea that like, I mean, Seth Rogen running around acting crazy, like both of them were hilarious.
Yeah, I think we
We
tried to emulate the mannerisms and the wackiness of the movies. Well, okay, so yeah, I mean that was like that was a period of time where we really like we wanted to like just make movies, man. Like we wanted to make stuff, you know what I mean? And we were like like you said, like, right, like Jackass, those kinds of movies, like all of that stuff was just kind of like feeding into us. We were like, I want to do something like this is fun.
And
you
there's
know?
something neat about making a film, making something that you can watch.
Yeah.
Or,
Or,
like,
oh man, sharing something with other people for the first time is so nerve wracking. But you're like, I think this is good. I think this. I'm not.
yeah.
Or maybe I've just been staring at this for too long. You know what I mean?
Maybe I just suck.
Well, at the same time, so do you guys remember, like, okay, so we went to church camp, and our parents gave us the camera and was like, hey, go ahead and like get some film and get like B-roll, and we'll throw it into a promo, and hopefully we'll send this out to other churches and get them interested. And it turned into like goofy commentary on like watermelon eating contests, and like asking people like, hey, how you doing, how are you enjoying camp, and then being like, man, I haven't showered in 4 days, and but the food's good. And
That's a war zone.
it's crazy. I miss my mama. I wish I could just go home and see my mama, tell my mama I love her, that kind of thing. And
Well, like the thing that was cool about that was like, so right, when you were a kid, if you were a kid, you're making movies at home. You're at home. You have your neighborhood. You have your home. That's kind of like about it. You're a kid. You don't have a car. Going out to camp and being in a setting that like, hey, now we got a forest. You know what I mean? Or now we've got like cabins to make something cool. You know what I mean? It was like it was that.
well, we did a Sasquatch film, right?
Yeah.
You guys know Sasquatch?
Yeah.
We just like shot little snippets of just like any
Somebody-
idea, man.
Yeah. Like I think it was one of our cousins, Nathan. He was running through the forest in
That's right.
in that gorilla suit.
Yeah.
Remember? And we ended up recording him walking through the forest. And we're like,
The
"Look,
cool
it's
thing
Bigfoot."
is that like our family was like about that. They're like, yeah, that would be funny. You should do
Our whole
that.
family is
You know?
characters. Like, do you remember he would do this like amazing Weekend at Bernie's impression? And like we would be at ball games, and he would just start like that Weekend at Bernie's shuffle, and like
Oh my god.
in a crowd of people, and like all of a sudden everybody would just be laughing. Like he'd have like 50 people all laughing at him doing his Weekend at Bernie's impression.
Puts on the shades. He had that bucket hat, I think. You remember that?
He had the bucket.
Bucket hat, shades, and he's got the face. That was good, man.
I think that was even his Halloween costume one year.
Good time.
But like that was like, so that's like our childhood there. Like that's us just messing around, and making stuff, and like that was fun for me. Like that was like a really big highlight. It just like brought me back to like wanting to like not stop creating stuff. You know what I mean? So much so that like when I eventually went to college, like I just had no interest in like school. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to like by that time I was playing music with friends, and we had a band, and that was a cool experience too. Like actually playing in like we played like the launch pad, like that was cool.
Launch pad?
Yeah, it was like a fundraising thing, but I was like, hey man, the launch pad. We
That's
played
so
in a couple
cool.
places, a couple venues downtown, like that was fun. Like, not like and thinking about it now, like not a lot of people have that experience. You know what I mean?
No,
Like
I'm
people don't,
impressed.
Well, some people aren't good enough to do that,
Yeah.
And the fact that you were able to
Well, even just
get your skill out.
pushing yourself,
Yeah.
like you said, your skill, but also like putting yourself out there. And that's the thing, right? Like being an artist, for any actor, any artist, it's putting yourself out there. Is always nerve wracking. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
You're exposing, not let me
Not
start
those
that over.
kinds of films.
Yeah. Well,
we didn't make those kinds of films.
no. But like, yeah, you're putting yourself out there. You know what I mean? You're like at your most vulnerable. You know what I mean? And yeah, you either some
Well,
people.
shoot, even this, like, I don't know about you guys, but like our first episode, leading up to our first episode, I was like, man, I don't know what I'm gonna talk about. I don't know how this is gonna go.
I still
being
know what
nervous.
we're talking about.
I still don't. But I feel like this second episode has definitely opened like the door to be like, it's gonna be all right. Like, and I feel like that's the special thing about like working with family on projects, and and all these kinds of different things is like, even if you don't know how it's gonna go, and you may have the anxieties or the nervousness of like what it is or what it's gonna be, you still can rely on your family to help you make something good.
Yeah. For the family.
It's for the family. It's all about the family.
Don't ever go against the family.
Hey, you can do anything if you're behind the wheel of a fast car and have your family.
Do you guys know about like the Spider-Man trailer? Do you know? Have you heard about the new Spider-Man trailer?
No.
Not really.
Everybody's like, "Oh man, they're gonna bring Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield back. They're gonna do it," and they haven't the trailer came out and still nothing.
Yeah.
There's like a scene in like the trailer where Spider-Man's fighting all the villains, and one of the villains just out of nowhere like turns his head like he got hit, but there's no Spider-Man there.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, they must have removed the spider. They must have removed the Spider-Man out of there. And as someone made a meme because it was right around the time Fast 8, Fast 9, Fast 9, whatever Fast and Furious it was, and it had what's his face, Vin Diesel. They like photoshopped his car into the shot. He's hitting the thing, and it zooms in on him, and he's like, "It's for the family," or something like that, And I was like, "Oh man, it's gone too far." Oh man. That's what I think about, though.
Whenever it comes to family,
Get to do anything for family.
anything for family.
Thanks, Vin.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, I still have some of those some home videos,
Oh man.
And it's funny going through, man. Like that's just some of the stuff we recorded.
The family
We're
documents.
We're weird kids, man. Weird kids. But it was fun.
It was fun. I mean, do you so I don't know, do we want to go into that? Like at church camp, the structure of church camp wasn't exactly like go to church, think about God. It was like go to church. Okay, for the next 4 hours, go ahead and do whatever the heck you want. You want to go wander in the woods, go ahead. If you
I think the staff just got tired of like having to watch everybody. They're like, okay, we got free time from 2 to 4.
Like,
Just make sure you're back for dinner.
Be back for dinner. Don't get lost. Don't get eaten. Don't hurt anybody.
Yeah, the buddy system.
And it was all about the buddy system. But like, we had the freedom to run around like at night.
Oh, that was against the rules. Though.
That was against the rules, but I mean, it wasn't like they were gonna.
But we did.
Yeah.
And that was the thing. That was the thing about church camp is that it was a family camp. You know what I mean? It was a church camp, but it was a family camp. And so like people brought their earlier, right? Like towards the end, it wasn't as much families. I noticed it was like parents having to send their kids because the parents couldn't get out of work for a week. You know what I mean?
That's rough.
And if they did, they don't want to go spend it up there in a camp and have to watch their kid.
Yeah, they wanted a break from their kid.
Yeah, so it was like, but earlier on, right? I remember it being like families coming up,
A lot of people.
and there was just like a lot of people, and it was like it was just as much as it was about like preaching and teaching about God, it was also about being together, as a family. As your own unit, your own family, but also together as a community. And those were some of the best years, man.
Yeah.
Best summers. It's funny. Like I talked to people, like I remember when I was younger, I used to try to explain it to people because like kids didn't like go to summer camp as much when I was like growing up, kids go to like, I'm going away to summer camp this year at the Y or something,
Yeah.
But it was like, I didn't know anybody else who went to a summer camp, and, but ours was like, somehow ours was just like up here. It was fun. You know what I mean?
It was on a higher level. I mean, what was it? There was a time when we got, okay, so no matter where we were, we always found some kind of wheeled object to ride down a hill. Like we always
found some way to like potentially hurt ourselves or maim ourselves.
And we got that.
Sometimes we did.
Yeah, sometimes it happened. Sometimes it didn't.
But we got that radio flyer.
The little wagon.
The wagon, and we rode that down that
That giant.
It wasn't a hill. It was a mountain, like the side of a mountain. And we rode it down that path trying to... What was that?
Getting stormed by them.
It's the fuzz.
They found our location. We're
under attack.
We're under attack. They know that we've broken out of the system. They're trying to return us to the reservation. But I remember those days riding around. I mean, what was it? I mean, like, church camp was just like a whole other beast, and it gave us all that opportunity to like film and mess around and you know, become as many different characters as we wanted to be.
Well, it also, I think, helped us with our... I mean, I think for some people it helped them with their social skills.
Oh, definitely.
I didn't really benefit a whole lot because I just hung out with my cousins when I went up to like family camp. So it was just like, you know, we just further solidified the gang. You know what I mean? But yeah, it was a good time, man. We'll have to talk more about that sometime because it's like there's plenty of stories. You know, not you know,
like nothing beats getting in trouble with your family. Like,
yeah, right. I mean, it's nothing better than yeah.
I mean, the worst thing that ever happened to us was like we had lunch duty in which we had to like wash all the dishes and clean up our messes and whatever else. Like having to clean the hall and
yeah,
like,
that's right. Huh?
wash everybody's dishes.
Stand up on a table and sing "Twinkle Twinkle Little Stars" or something like that.
And so they weren't like punishments, as in like punishments, but they were more like, you messed up, you got caught, don't get caught again.
We spilled stuff.
we had a spill in the studio, and
something grabbed my leg.
I heard we were getting attacked. I was trying to crawl out.
Yeah, I'm trying to sneak out on that one.
I thought I was in the trash compactor from Star Wars. Something brushed past my leg.
I think the main point we're getting at here, right, is that film is been a big part for us. You know, and yeah, no, family. It really has been a big part for our family. And
it's all about the family.
It's all that's the main message here.
That is really the main.
It's all
message.
about the family.
All about the family.
Never go against the family.
You know, and I think that's what makes this so fun is creating with you guys, because a lot of times, like, I'm just the only person making my paintings, you know, and so being able to do stuff with you guys has been a lot of fun. So
yeah,
I had a lot of fun.
I think we gotta do more.
Well, along the same lines, I mean, Elliot, you've been a part of like our family business for as long as I can remember. I mean, you've made our our advertisement videos.
Oh man, that started with my sister, man. When she was helping you guys with like the website and all that.
Right.
I was like, man, I want to do that. That sounds fun, you know, different stuff like that. Yeah, you know, and it's always been fun to be like it's been fun. It's been fun to be a part of something that is, I don't know, so tight knit, I guess, in that sense. It's like, you know, it's small. You know what I mean? It's not like you guys are trying to start like your parents were never trying to start a giant corporation. You know what I mean? Your dad was like, this is my work, and
it was
these are my sons.
a family business.
Yeah, exactly, family business. You know, and it was always cool to be a part of.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, eventually we'd like to be able to start paying you for all the help that you've given us, and you know,
Like, I remember some of my funnest times was like you coming to art shows with us, and like,
oh, definitely,
it was like getting the video cameras and like,
which is being
filming.
around, being around in the environment, you know.
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
fun.
Behind the scenes at art show is like mayhem, but it's so much fun to see, especially if you've never been behind the scenes of an art show, and actually like been there, putting up art, hanging things, getting to the art show.
Yeah.
Like that itself, the logistics part is just should be a TV show into itself.
Shoot, you know, I think that's all right. We're gonna stop there, I think.
So, but yeah, along the at the end of this, I mean, I guess one of the things, if you're interested in finding out more about what we're doing, what we're up to, you can follow the podcast on Instagram at Off the Reservation Podcast. You can also find us on Spotify and Anchor FM at Off the Reservation Podcast. So yeah, come and follow us. Help us get to where we want to go and do more awesome episodes and stuff.